Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast, and this is the Curiosity Shop, the ZeldaDungeon.net video mailbag where I answer your Zelda questions. Our first question comes from Zelda Fan 1991. He asks, do you think Nintendo will release an English version of Hyrule Historia? Well, I think we obviously all hope they will, because, you know, it's a lot of information that we'd all probably like to see for ourselves instead of just reading translations online. That said, I think a lot of times when these kinds of books are released in Japan, they're not really released in America, or at least not very quickly, especially with Nintendo. A lot of the manga didn't get released in the US for a while, I believe, and I mean, the Hyrule Historia is not a manga. At the same time, it's related because it actually has a manga preview in it, and it's also just, you know, it's extended material, and I don't think Nintendo has always taken that very seriously. So I kind of doubt it's going to be released in the US, or at least anytime soon. I mean, obviously, that's preferable if that's not the case, but I'm starting to think that's going to be how it's going to be. Juicy J asks, do you think it would be cool for the Wii U tablet to be used for co-op purposes in Zelda Wii U? Well, I talked about this in my last article, but, you know, I'm not really too into the idea of co-op in a main series Zelda game. If they're going to throw it in, okay. I think that the Wii U tablet does kind of really imply that they're going to be doing co-op. It's like exactly like the Tingle Tuner, sort of. It could easily be used to have a Four Swords type thing, but I kind of think that's more preferable to have an actual multiplayer game like Four Swords, see that again, rather than them trying to make a like a co-op function on an existing Zelda game. I'm not particularly interested in that, though if they're going to make it, it'd be harmless and it wouldn't hurt the game, so I guess I wouldn't care. I'd be more interested in some other kind of multiplayer functionality or an alternate multiplayer mode than actual co-op built into the game. But again, it's harmless, so if they're going to do it, whatever. Hephaestus asks, there are tons of rumors flying around about Retro Studios' current project being a Zelda game. What do you think of this? Metroid Prime was a near-perfect example of merging a classic Japanese game with more Western ideas. Is Retro the studio to do this? Do you think Zelda needs more Western game ideas? Well, obviously these are just rumors, and this is not confirmed. I don't really know how to take the rumors. I mean, I've heard some of them that make it sound pretty plausible. So, you know, Retro would do really well with the Zelda series. They pretty much, whatever Retro touches turns to gold, pretty much. They've proven that, even though they really got a lot of crap for when they were put on the Metroid Prime project. But they really came through, and they made an amazing game, and they've continued to do so. So, I think if they did make a Zelda game, it would absolutely be a perfect Western made Zelda game. It would probably combine the perfect amount of Western ideas to Japanese ones. That said, I think that Zelda's kind of already been doing that. Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword have a lot of Western game design elements to their, you know, their makeup, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of Western games, I mean, there's open, you know, exploration ones too, but a lot of Western games tend to be linear with a lot of set-piece moments and a lot of, like, this dramatic cinematic presentation. And I think the recent Zelda games have been doing that too. So I think that Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess, in those ways and in others, have very much taken after a lot of Western game design ideas. So I think Zelda's already moving in that direction. I don't think they need someone else to take a look at it. I think they're doing alright as they are, but if Retro did it, they'd do amazing. So I have no real opinion or preference on this. I just think, you know, Retro's awesome. Fire Emblem Fan asks, including Skyward Sword, we've had a lot of recent Zelda games with a lighter tone. Do you think that Nintendo will ever return to the dark side of Zelda like in Majora's Mask? Why or why not? Well, actually, I disagree with you on this, because I think Skyward Sword wasn't a light game. I think it's about as... I mean, it's not a really dark game. It's not an incredibly dark, creepy experience, you know? But it's not really like this really happy story. It's, as I just said, it's very dramatic. There's a lot of serious stuff going on. And while all Zelda games have serious stuff going on, I think it's Skyward Sword and even Twilight Princess that actually take it the most seriously. They really play it up as a big deal, like really crucial, really important, really dire, you know? And I think that this, I don't think that they're light games in that way, and there's some really dark, creepy stuff in them. Twilight Princess especially, I actually think is much darker than Majora's Mask, and I don't think Majora's Mask was an especially dark game. I never really got that creeped out or disturbed or felt it was dark when I was playing it, so maybe that's something I'll actually go into more detail in a new video sometime, or an actual article, maybe. I did an article on it kind of before, but I think I could use a redo, but it's, you know, I don't think Majora's Mask was that dark of a game, so, yeah, I'm sure they'll do dark games in the future, but I don't think that they haven't been, or that they necessarily did that strongly before. I think more recently the Zelda games have been dark as opposed to in the past. Great Person 137 asks, do any of the Zelda games mention Link's parents? If they do, what do they say? Well, only one game has actually mentioned it in-game, and that was Ocarina of Time, in which the Great Deku Tree Spout tells Link about how when he was a baby, his mom came into the forest and asked him to take care of, Link, and then she died. It never mentions his father, never mentions anything else about his mother. The manga goes on to expand this, but the manga is not canonical, it's not part of the story. Aside from that, there was a reference to Link's parents in A Link to the Past, but not in the game. It was actually in, and I'm not talking about the manga either. It was actually in some kind of audio story thing on the soundtrack, the Japanese soundtrack, but it was never a US thing. I think you can find translations on Glitterberry maybe, or somewhere anyway. And, I think whether it's canonical is a little in question. I mean, it is, more canonical certainly than the manga, but it's also, I think, not clear how seriously Nintendo took it, since it's just like this odd thing on this odd piece of media that they released. I don't know. But yeah, those are the references to Link's parents. Ben asks, why is Adult Link called Adult Link when he isn't an adult? He's a teenager. Well, Adult Link is actually like a fan term. Really, here's the only thing about it, is that he was an older Link. He was a more serious, older Link that, the previous games had only had little kids as the hero, so that was a very new thing. So, they called him Adult Link because he was older, and I don't think there's a huge difference between, like, 17 or 16, which kind of Adult Link is, and, like, older actually adult ages. And actually, when you think about it, in most medieval societies or in the past, 16 pretty much made you an adult. There was no distinction, really. You learned how to do everything you needed to do at a pretty young age, so he kind of is an adult given the world. Triforce fan asks, do you think Queen Rutela from Twilight Princess is Princess Ruto from Ocarina of Time? If so, what makes you think this? Actually, when I first played the game, I thought Queen Rutela was the same queen. Like, I thought when they referenced the King Zora, like King Zora's grave, that was actually the same King Zora from Ocarina of Time. And Queen Rutela is this queen who never appeared in Ocarina of Time. That said, Twilight Princess is pretty much supposed to take place a long time after Ocarina of Time, so that's pretty unlikely. I mean, yeah, they've never said that Zora's at the same lifespan, but there's nothing implying that they don't. So really, it's probably just a new queen. I don't think it's Ruto. There's no reason to think it's Ruto. They have no similarity, really. Liquid Ooze asks, who is the mysterious skill trainer in Twilight Princess? A lot of people think he is Link's father because of his rusty mirror shield from Majora's Mask. I want to hear your opinion. Well, I don't think the mirror shield thing is one of the best arguments for this, but actually Hyrule Historia confirms that he is the hero of time from Ocarina of Time. And that probably makes him Link's ancestor, since Link is, he's like the hero or whatever. And he also references them sharing a bloodline, though I think that could be kind of just language referring to, like, the bloodline of knights or whatever, or, like, noble blood, since that is something that the Zelda series talks about a lot. That probably means he is his father, though, or not his father, but actually, like, an older descendant. There's no way he's his father. That doesn't make any sense. But, yeah. Felipe asks, do you think that if Twilight Princess was released before Ocarina of Time, it would have been considered better? I have this feeling some people only say it's better because it was the first 3D Zelda game. I actually don't, because, Ocarina of Time, yeah, I've heard that argument that Ocarina of Time wasn't really that great, that it was only, like, the first 3D Zelda game. But the fact is that Ocarina of Time really has a very balanced game design. The whole game is really designed so that no matter who's playing it, they're going to have fun with it. There's a lot of different areas that are very diverse. There's a lot of different things to see in the game. It's a very long game. It has one of the longest Zelda games, really, in terms of dungeons anyway. But it actually has, like, a lot of different variety in the areas you go to, and there's a lot of variety in the difficulty. There's a lot of easy moments, a lot of hard moments. And even in the story, it's, like, basic enough that it could appeal to anyone, and it has a lot of different moments that it could appeal to different people at different times. So, really, Ocarina of Time is designed in a way that it has the widest appeal of all the Zelda games. And the game design itself is pretty tight, so really, it's maybe not the best Zelda game, but I definitely think it's a great game and definitely deserves the praise it gets. And Twilight Princess, on the other hand, has a lot of problems in it. There's a lot of things that seem like they were incomplete. There's a lot of parts that were really awesome, but didn't feel like they were used to the degree that they should have been, or, expanded as much as they should have been. So I really don't think, even if they were the roles were reversed, Twilight Princess would be a better game than Ocarina of Time. I don't think that has anything to do with it. Hero of Skyloft asks, do you think we will ever see a Zelda game that takes place before the events of Skyward Sword? If so, when do you think we will see it, and would you even like to see it? You know, eventually they are going to do another prequel. I mean, come on. You have, A Link to the Past was probably a prequel. At least that's what they were originally saying it was. And Ocarina of Time was a prequel. And Skyward Sword was a prequel. Hell, the Minish Cap was a prequel. And, you know, there's just a ton of prequels in the series. It's absolutely inevitable that they're going to do another one. As for if I want to, I don't care. As long as they keep making Zelda games and they're good, and they make somewhat sense in the timeline, I'm indifferent to them making another one before the game. It's just, you know, they're eventually going to do it. It's inevitable. Alright guys, that's it for this time. Be sure to send your questions to the contact page in the description, and I'll see you guys later. Alright guys, that's it for this time. Be sure to send your